And there we go from the drill. Look at these beautiful benches we just got. Came to drop the exchange the bottles. The most I ever got from recent memory, because I got that blackout retrograde amnesia memory, and I have problems remembering after 11 years when I go back in time. There's like a blackouts in my memory, but I can remember mostly perfectly the past 7, 8, 9, 10, stretching it to like 11 years, but before that is like a blackout, so from recent memory I got $13.50, $13.40. I gotta double check. $13.40, 40 cents. Why did I give 10 cents? Oh, because I paid something, so $13.40. 30. Could have been 50. Now there's a doubt. Wait a minute, because I had two, because I filled the bag. One bag I filled it, and then I filled the bag, and it got full after like $11. And then the other one, it was $11.40, one, and then it was $2 and something cents. So it added $2.10 or $1.90. And then I had two different like tickets, to exchange. And the machines, the machines where you put the bottles, had a black bag full of this black bag was full of bottles, and so I went, and I am financially stressed, So that $13.40, or let's say more than around $3.40, let's say, not 3, correction, 13. Gotta watch it here as I go to the mountain now. Is well needed. So I can't believe it was the most in recent memory. I think the most last time I got 770 last time I remember the most. And one time I got like 660, and I think once I got close to $8, but never more than 11, that's for sure. So this was the most in terms of whatever that I changed, whatever the money. I gotta be prudent here when I cross the street, and that's what we gotta do. And there we gotta go on the go, so that's what we gotta get doing with that. For the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks on the march. Got a march for fellow Aspies today, fellow neurodivergents who live with Asperger's, artist, athlete, philosopher, and 49er fan. Please reduce the cost of the tickets by 44.9%. Super neat, vegan, and freestyle overtime every time. That rock and roll for the firefighters and the butchers. And I was sick during the Sabbath, I'm gonna take a bath when I get back home today and do some laundry because I left early. So I'm gonna go early toward the mountain, and my friend is gonna do a laundry in the morning, and then I'm gonna do one in the afternoon. I'm gonna do one tomorrow. So a little bit of rock and roll. Financially stressed, but the month's ending, so it's the last day of the month, so I'm gonna have to pay rent again. So on the rainy day I got the umbrella. Got that umbrella, so right here from this underground Rumasan temple, left on the other second home, going to my second home here, and for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and all involved in the production, distribution of food, and all those, who now produce the food, and the warehouse workers, the bus drivers, the truckers, got to rock and roll for the truckers, and the train conductors, and those doing some of the farming. And I'm so grateful. I can't believe I got more than $13 for the cans. I had cans, and in those machines where you put the plastics in the machines, the cans, and not just the cans, but the cans and like that one that the fellow citizen's coming now. See my fellow citizen, he's gonna do the same thing I did. And he's got to know how much money he's gonna go, and he's gonna get the money with that. So that's basically what I did. I took the cans for the recycling, and I got money. So much needed money because I'm financially stressed. And if I ever make $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion, I'm gonna give half to my anonymous friend who wasn't my friend because of the money. And with money, the first and foremost, that I will to build, to construct here in the North American Collective, preferably beyond the Canadian-US border, is the Forgotten Goddess Temple. Forgotten Goddess Temple, Forgotten Goddess, GODDSS, because I credit me surviving so many things in my life live full of scars on the body, outside and internal scars, I guess, internal and external. And I survived COVID, and back, of course, when I survived COVID more than 5 years ago. I'm celebrating today is the last day, because between February and March I had it, so I guess this is the last day celebrating me surviving COVID, because then it's gonna go into that April. So April I was already healed. April 2020, April 2020, April 2020, April 2020, April 2020, 2020. So here I am. Gotta be grateful, thankful. My rent's paid and electricity bills paid, and got food, got coffee. I've gotta buy some coffee. Gotta buy some coffee. I think coffee's running out this week. Maybe on the 2nd of April, that's gonna be for 3 more sessions of coffee, because I got that Insta coffee, and prices of coffee have increased. Please, Wall Street, buying, selling stocks, option puts. Please give some charity. Please, NFL. You know, I love gridiron North American football, but my favorite sport is dancing. I just love to dance. Dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity. Dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity. And here, you know, marching for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, for the workers of the North American Collective, always 24/7 rock and roll for them. A little rap, a little RAP. First rock and roll, then rap, you know. The dancing is my favorite sport, and always gratitude and being neurodivergent. And when I went to exchange now with the cashier, hope the cashier gets a raise the cashier, and smile, because I asked some questions and kind of smiled, and I think got a feeling. I said, yeah, you know, I have Asperger's, and I know if you know what autism, high functioning autism, Asperger's is. And the cashier smiled and said, I got a cousin with Asperger's, and smiled and said, yeah, kind of without saying, smiled and said, you guys are weirdos and you're neurodivergents, and says, yeah, you're neurodivergent, and that's it. That's all. That's meaning that social interactions are more difficult, and the way we interact socially, and we can have awkward, weird bodily movements, you know. So for my fellow Aspies, the minority of less than 1%, you know, less than 1% of the population have Asperger's, you know. Aspies, there's not a lot of Aspies in the world. It's less than 1%, less than half of a percentile. Estimated population of Aspies is 0.44%. 0.44%. So 0.44% is a big population, you know. So it's not a big population. I mean, comparing to the neurotypical, which are the vast majority of the population, the 99.56%, we're a tiny small minorities, you know. So that's what it is with that, and that's why we gotta go, you know, do it. And that's why we always gotta be on the awareness side for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, for the forgotten goddess, GODDSS. And I'm a mystic as well as a philosopher, artist, athlete, geopolitical, theoretical analyst, and theorist, always drilling. Foul on the play, 5-yard penalty. Black, white, and rainbow. If you want to come LOV with me, I'm gonna card you. You gotta be 18. If you're a woman, man, black, white, rainbow, man, women, you know. I play that rainbow. Pride Parade 24/7, and I take very much a lot of pride in my work as an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist. As a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist. As a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, you know. So my work, I take pride of it, and to the point that I have predicted, super important that I mention it. Oh, we need some cleaning here. It's not hygienic. We need some cleaning, brothers and sisters. We need to rebuild the North American inner urban cities, aka the ghettos. We need to mass invest in rebuilding the ghettos, brothers and sisters. The North American inner urban cities, the ghettos we need to rebuild, and via my DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, which I have hundreds of videos in the past, yesterday, the day before, discussing the DRT theory for the collective, the debt refusion theory for the collective, the DRT theory for what I call the collective North American Civilizational Complex, the Collective, North American Civilizational Complex, that Canada, United States, because I believe in reincarnation. I'm also a mystic, and having believed in reincarnation is, of course, my belief that the North American Collective is of course an emergent civilizational complex, which is not totally divorced, but is distinct from Western civilization. And so we got to fuse, but in a public-private partnership manner. And my brothers and sisters, fellow Canadians, with LOV, your family, Quebecers, Canadians, and family, my brothers and sisters in the USA, when I crossed Canada coast to coast in 2017, that event in my life changed my whole life. Before that event, I was depressed, I was suicidal. I was depressed, I was suicidal, I was depressed, and I was suicidal. And crossing Canada made me open my eyes and my horizons, and I had a revelation how many things to see, to do here across Canada. So I started working out, training, exercising, started writing tens of thousands of pages of philosophy, geopolitical, theoretical, analyst, and theorist. And my brothers and sisters, Mark Carney, with all due respect, the king is absent. The king is absent. The king is absent. Is the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters, daycare workers, all those construction workers on the cranes, Hydro-Quebec workers. It's not the king who's going to come defend us if there's an invasion or geopolitical crisis, internal or external, via sabotage or whatever have you. By sabotage or whatever have you. By sabotage or whatever have you. That's what it is with that. So it's not that it is with that. So that's what it is with that. That's what it is with that. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, So it's not by whatever case may be, and the king is absent. It's time for the republic. 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 That's what it is with that. So that's what we gotta get doing, because I go to the mountain. I gotta be careful here when I cross the street. When I cross the street, I gotta be careful when I cross the street here. Gotta be careful, because you never know. Because you never know. You never know. You never know. You might get hit by the car if the car brakes malfunction, the brakes of the car malfunctions. You gotta be careful on the go, Gotta be careful on the go. My car's malfunction, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. The car's malfunction, brakes malfunction, citizen presses the accelerator instead of the brake, and there we go. You get it in and you turn your head left or right, Otherwise you get that pass interference. 10 yards on the play. Pass interference. 10 yards, I guess it's 15 maybe. One of my favorite Super Bowls is the hardball ball, aka blackout ball. One of my favorite Super Bowl is the hardball ball, aka blackout ball. Nice lion there. Aka blackout ball, Super Bowl, hardball ball. That's one of my favorites, and that's one of my favorite, Super Bowls, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And I love gridiron football, but dancing is my favorite sport, so you know what to expect. I dance, geopolitics, and rock and roll, and celebrate the day. 5 years since I survived COVID. 5 years since I survived COVID. 5 years. I can't believe it's been 5 years since I survived COVID. Since I survived COVID. Where the crows at? They're singing the rock and roll song. A little bit on the rainbow side. Yeah. A little bit on the rainbow side. I love crows and hawks in my totem bird, but I also love the crows, I love the crows, Love the crows to do it, So that's what we gotta get doing, Love the crows, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta be transmission. Hey, 42 there. 42, So that's what we're gonna get doing. My fellow brother there with some delivery, brother or sister, you get double trouble with me, 2 in 1, bro, sis, bro, those delivering the food, gotta send some love to them. And, you know, to my black brothers and sisters who are blacks, including my neighbors, you know. We gotta work together and embrace and fight racism, you know, because sometimes we have it subconscious. Rather fight it on the field and say love after the game. And if you give me a penalty, 5 yards penalty, or we give each other penalties, 5 yards, 10 yards, and we get the North American Great Rehabilitation Act, we do a census. Everybody who's been living here in the past 5 years or 7 years or 5 years, and we got to get doing on the drill, and we got to rebuild the North American inner urban cities, the ghettos. You know, that's what I will to build also. Let's sign an executive order for that. Canada, United States joint, because we got neighborhoods in Canada and construction workers. Credit some massage therapy sessions, some kisses, some massage therapy sessions, you know, for my fellow brothers and sisters who go on those steel toes with a casket and go up on those cranes, you know, to LOV, because it's not all about the money, you know. A lot of us have suffered, struggled, and we deserve second, third chances. Third or second chances. And I always say I wish I would have had, you know, 44 billion when Donald Trump got elected, and those 44 billion, I would have taken 10% and given 4.4 billion, which would have been the equivalent of 10% of 44 billion, and I would have went across North America and given 50,000 to man, woman. I would have whispered, here's 50,000, take your second chance, and what you do with this money is up to you. If you secure your freedom and secure your liberty with this 50,000 and get your second chance to whatever. If you do drugs and you're homeless on the streets, with 50,000 you can start over. You can get a year and clean and pay rent for a year. Start working out, training, and exercise, and change, because I believe change sometimes is tough and difficult and painful. But who knows, if my memory black out after go back more than 11 years. I have plenty of scars, tattoos. I have don't know when they were made. I got Canada on my right eye, Canada, so I always get that true north, strong and free. We gotta add some love, because the king is absent. Let him. We need a republic, and pledge allegiance, Mr. Carney, Mr. Next President, because we're gonna dissolute that. It's time for the republic. We're gonna take another side for justice, and we're gonna get that PPP, public-private partnership, and a democratic republic based on fundamental North American centric and based fundamentally around my Trinity of theories, you know. That's all we gotta get doing with that, and that's all we gotta get on the go, you know. So as we go here, you know, we gotta get it on the love, you know. So just gonna, sorry, coming through. Thank you. So we gotta go all the way now. Is, you know, we gotta get on the side of the streets here, and always gotta be with my weirdness and Asperger's, gotta get it off the way, and that's all we gotta get doing with that. So something which we gotta be on the love side of things, you know. So it's something which we gotta be on the proposition side, and that's all we gotta get doing on the proposition side with that. And that's all we gotta turn our heads here when we cross the street. When we cross the street, we gotta turn our heads, and that's all we gotta get doing with that, because you never know, you know. The brakes might malfunction, and the malfunctioning of the brakes, we gotta get on that preposition, and we gotta turn our heads left and right, and that's all we gotta get doing with that. That's all we gotta get doing at that, you know. So here we also gotta clean, you know. So that's all we gotta get cleaning and get dirty, but get back clean, get dirty, but get back clean, you know. So that's all we gotta be on the love side of things, you know. So that's all we gotta get doing with that. That's all we gotta get clean, you know. After getting dirty, we gotta get back clean, and the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, we're gonna have to implement, you know, the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, and we gotta get the North American Imperial Coliseum parallel to the Forgotten Goddess Temple, which is my type of building, which I will to build, you know. Will to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get on the go, you know. So something which we gotta be doing on that, you know. So something which gotta get clean, you know. Beautiful red. Wow. Beautiful red, man. Gotta turn my head left and right, you know. Gotta turn my head left and right, man. So the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act is something which I've been writing about since 2017, and along with my total mobile defense theory system, which I cannot overly be indulgent since it's a matter of the North American collective national security. I cannot discuss it over much because it's something which is developed by yours truly and mostly internally in my psyche and in my brain, with lots of complementary theories supporting it. But the total mobile defense theory is something which I gotta get doing with that, and something which can be discussed, you know, with all the national security apparatus of both Canada and the United States. And yeah, my fellow citizen gave yours truly priority, which you have to, you know. You have to give priority to the pedestrians, you know, because the cars are metals on wheel, you know, they traverse, and the body safety security for the body safety security for the body safety security for the body is primordial, super important and primordial, you know. So we got to get that body secured and got to get that security for the body. I love that. Yeah, love is good. Love is good, and by love and action, blah blah blah, build the forgotten goddess temple. Credit the construction workers which are gonna build it, construction workers which are gonna build it, construction workers which are gonna build it. Trillions of kisses, marching steps, kisses, massages, feet washings, massages to build the forgotten goddess temple, GODDSS, on the Canadian-US border, parallel to the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, which I will to build for the establishment of the public-private partnership Dragon Army across Canada, mobilizing 1% of the citizens, an existing security apparatus structure of Canada and United States joint to be solely for security and service, only for security, service and defense, strictly only Dragon Army with the legions. 51 maybe with the Canada, maybe 63 because we got 13 provinces, 10 provinces and 3 territories, so that makes 13 political entities in Canada. The king is absent. It's time for the Republic, and I didn't like our prime minister leader to pledge allegiance to the king and his heirs, The king is absent. The king hasn't lived for the past 7 years in Canada. I have, and many millions have, and all who come to join us. It's time for the Republic. The king is absent. Time for the Dragon Army Security Service. It's time for the DRT, Debt Refusion Theory with LOVE. Dragon versus Trump have been them and will challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, I'm far from being a Trump supporter. You know, I'm a pro-labor and love universal revolutionary centrist. I'm a pro-labor love revolutionary centrist, and that's what it is with that. And being a pro-labor revolutionary centrist, that's what I do. Being a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has predicted the international conflagration. I gotta turn my head here left or right, and gotta watch for the streets, to cross the streets, and gotta get prudent, you know. My cousins here, my nations, my cousins here, and those, of course, who serve here in the Legion. It's time for the Republic. Time for the Legions for security and service. And that's all we gotta get doing with that, and that's all we gotta get doing with the love, you know. And love is important, and I got 15 seconds to cross and traverse, and here I'm gonna say a little bit of love to the butchers, the bakers, to the truckers. To the truckers on the road, truckers, first responders, truckers across Canada, United States joint. It's time to get rid of the border. Best if we focus. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean, on the ports and the airports, the security best, the apparatus to be focused, and we need to construct cameras, old cameras, public-private partnership with Bill Gates, Scorpio, brother, let's go, public-private partnership, and the Dragon Army to have monitoring and cameras, 24/7 cameras. Cameras, 24/7 cameras across North America for security and service in the public, for the complete rebuilding of the structure of the North American Collective, and for the 21st century security, service, and defense, the SSD principle, security, service, and defense, the SSD principle, security, service, and defense, SSD principle with all 3G, 4G, 5G telecommunication towers with where citizens can go and participate in the public sphere of Canada, United States, joint fused, the true north, strong and free. We gotta add some love in the true north, strong and free. We gotta add some love in the true north, strong and free. With my brothers and sisters in the USA, home of the brave, land of the free, it's not enough. If you don't put LOV in that, I don't want nothing to do with it, because it's not all about the money. Give some charity Wall Street. Let's rebuild the North American ghettos. Let's rebuild the North American ghettos together. Let's rebuild the North American ghettos together. That's what we're gonna be rebuilding, and get the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. Criminal Rehabilitation Act, second chances, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and build 44 tunnels. Build 44 tunnels, build 44 tunnels, build 44 tunnels, build 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. And you know I got a crane fetish. I gotta watch it here because it's backing up, and that Forte 5, gotta get it so you don't get hit by the car, man. You know, so that's it, what it is. So that's what it is with that, you know. So we gotta get on the go. I said my fellow citizen there passing to watch it for the car who's gonna back up, so we go on the other side best, you know. You're not gonna get hit by a car when I'm on the streets, hawk, prudent. Whether you're black, white, or rainbow, no, I'm gonna try my best as a good Samaritan here at the law of Quebec, to go get it on the go and get it on the go for that. And nobody, black, white, under my watch is gonna get hit by a car here in the North American Collective. As I got a fetish for cranes. I just have a fetish for cranes, so now I see my head switches and focuses on the cranes. You know, crane operators, I love you, you rock and roll. If you're a crane operator, you get a little bit of hug. I just love cranes, you know, and just something about cranes that I have a fetish. I always wonder where they were built, how they were built, and how they go up and down, you know. Cranes in French is dedie. So I just really admire crane operators, and they enabled us to build buildings to go sky high, eh? Without the cranes, and I guess they date back to ancient Egypt, ancient Rome, without the cranes we would not have been able to build, you know. Not been able to build the North American Collective, you know, and not been able to build the North American Collective, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And we gotta be prudent sometimes, I guess, as we cross the street, you know. Turn your heads left and right, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. And bus drivers gotta send some love, you know. They also need some love across the North American Collective, and get them a raise. And please, millionaires, billionaires, NFL players and owners of the NFL, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB, please rebuild, give tickets to the firefighters, and of course the public workers who pick up the garbage, gonna pick up that recycling out. My recycling is gonna be picked up, and my garbage is gonna be picked up. So my recycling is gonna be picked up, and that's what I get doing with that, and building on that recycling, building on those workers. 44. I wonder what that's 4402. Makes me think of the tunnels, you know, and I see that number. I always weird Asperger's things, being neurodivergent. Sometimes we focus on details when certain people are what the fuck, WTF, what the fuck is going on with that? That's what we're gonna get doing, but that's how Asperger's is, you know. That's what Asperger's is, you know. So that's why we gotta get going for the drill, you know. So we gotta get doing. Anyways. That's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's why I gotta get that love, you know. And I gotta get some love, you know, to those who drive the metros across North America. Imagine all the work. So we need to get that Dragon Army complex, and establish security, service, defense, SSD principle. The Dragon Army integrated with all existing security, the new 911 protocols. New 911 protocols, the new 911 protocols, new 911 protocols for security, service, and defense. And got a LOV, see the workers there, pick up the garbage, the collection of the garbage, gotta send some rock and roll. Thank you to the workers, and gotta get it on that go with that. Yep, and gotta get it for the love, you know. So, anyways, for those who, that's a new metro station there. It's new. See, that's new there. That's new underwear. Imagine all the labor, all the work, eh? All the brains and the muscle to build underneath. Things we take for granted, eh? A civilization is a privilege. Civilization is a privilege. Civilization is a privilege. So that's why we need to build my theories, implement my theories, and get the total security and service, build new supercomputer highways, public-private partnership based on all the 3G, 4G, 5G telecommunications. We need Canada, United States joint, all security and service, SSD principle, security, service, and defense, security, service, and defense, security, service, and defense. That's what we're gonna get doing with that. Get that SSD, security, service, and defense. You know, security, service, and defense, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is, you know. SSD principle by the Dragon New 911 protocols to create the legions, 1% mobilization, Canada, United States, I guess the 50 states plus Canada, the 50 states plus Canada, the 50 states plus Canada integrate across all levels for security, service, and defense. And of course, for some joy, please, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Please reduce the cost of the tickets by 44.9%, 44.9% by 44.9%. 44.9%, and give some tickets to the public workers, those who pick up the garbage, like those workers there who pick up the garbage, give them some tickets. They're gonna pick up my garbage later on when I come back to my headquarters. I'll give them a little bit of garbage for the collection, and they're gonna pick up the recycling with it, and that's what it is with that. Here we're gonna go rock and roll as I go. For the butchers, the bakers, and the construction workers, let's build together the North American Imperial People's Coliseum and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and of course the Dragon Army complex. The complex of the Dragon Army and the Dragon Army, the North American Civilizational Complex, and build. Construct on the Canadian-US border the North American Integrated Coliseum, People's Coliseum Imperial, North American People's Imperial Coliseum, to be 11 times bigger than the Hardball Ball, Super Bowl, where the Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball, where the Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball, where the Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball, was played, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. And the Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball, was played where my 49ers lost by 3 points to the Ravens, and Hardball Ball is also known as Blackout Ball. One of my favorite top 5 Super Bowls, and the Coliseum there, the arena which was built was the Caesar Dome, the Caesar Superdome, the Caesar Superdome, Caesar Superdome, Caesar Superdome, Caesar Superdome, Caesar Superdome. That's what it is with that. Caesar Superdome, aka the Blackout Ball. It was played, the Blackout Ball, aka Hardball Ball, was played at the Superdome. We changed the name. It was used to be known as the Mercedes-Benz. A few years ago, now I got no new name. It's just like my name changed. Nobody's born a dragon, you become one, and that's what it is with that, to get the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and that's what it is, and that's what we're gonna be building. Lemon. Excusez-moi, ça a l'air, ça va glisser là-dessus. Juste pour vous dire, pour votre sécurité, que ça va l'air que c'est pas trop en sécurité ici, là. Tu vois celle-là? OK. Juste pour vous dire, ça tombe sur personne, là. OK, ciao les boys. So what I said is, of course, to be careful for that so that it doesn't slide, so it doesn't go, it doesn't slip on anybody, you know. 'Cause you gotta be a good Samaritan, you know. You never know, people cross there, and he's gotta be on that side to be safety and security and get that. Pénalité. 10 vergers. So that's what I gotta say in French, you know, to get it on the love, you know, because that would look like it was slippery. So for their safety and security, you know, and always gotta be prudent, you know. Safe in the public, safety in the public, and they're there, you know, construction workers rock and roll, so I just gotta let them know that, that was, you saw how it was slippery on the, so because it's raining, of course, and be able to slip, you know, because it wasn't balanced properly, so he could have slid on the side. On the slide slip, you know, so that's for other citizens, you know. And here in Quebec, we have something that's Quebecers called the Good Samaritan, you know, which is Good Samaritan is kind of by principle, which we gotta be doing, you know. So that's what we gotta be doing with that. So that's what we gotta be doing on the go, you know. So. So that's what we gotta be doing, and here the Good Samaritan law, kind of old school. It takes a little bit of old school with the new. Takes a little bit of old school with the new, you know. But that reminds me. Again, before I say, but Good Samaritan Quebec law is you have to, in the public, you have to be as helpful as you can in case of somebody's in an emergency situation. In an emergency situation, or needs support and help. If the citizen needs support and help, you got the Good Samaritan law, you know. So that's what we gotta get. That's what we gotta get doing with that. So anyways, I saw that and I decided as a citizen try to be a good Samaritan so that it doesn't fall on anybody. That it's best if they try to secure it more. Anyways, adequate, and being with Asperger's maybe a bit weird, and I need to be told also, eh? With Asperger's sometimes we're direct or rude, but we have to be told because we have to work on our characteristics, which they're not symptoms, you know. Asperger's is not an illness. It's just we're neurodivergent, part of this community, and our brains are wired differently. Our brains are just wired differently. So because our brains are wired differently, our brains function on a different level. So we of course have different things which we have, and our functionality on a day-to-day basis revolves around our special interests. And me is fitness and sports. Dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity, and rock and roll and geopolitics. And I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has predicted an international conflagration back what's happening now. I predicted what's happening now in a general manner back in 2019, and I take a lot of pride in my geopolitical work. And I'm also a mystic, and now that I saw the Marines Marines, The Marines, I saw it on the Marines that I saw it on that is, of course, something which triggers me past lives, because I was born in the USA post-76, 3 times, once as a woman, twice as a man. Twice as a man, served in the United States Armed Forces, same U.S. Army, 156 years apart, 156 years apart, 156 years apart, in the same U.S. Army. 156 years apart in the same U.S. Army, 156 years apart in the same U.S. Army I served, in the same army of the good old USA, post-76, twice, 2 different eras. The wars were 156 years apart. The wars were 156 years apart. So the wars were, the wars were very, very much, very, they were far off, like they were really different generational wars, 156 years apart, estimation, but that's what it is. So I just gotta put some trash and and here I am in Westmount, so gotta say my gratitude again, and I meditate on the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and I'm grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and I got food, and that's what it is with that. And here we gotta get on that dribble, and I always gotta be meditating on the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and that's all we gotta get doing with that rock and roll. And I got your back here, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. If there's ever an invasion, my brothers and sisters in the USA, I could run to the border, back, start running to the border. If there's ever an invasion from Russia or China, they better not come here, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, Dragon Army. We're gonna fuse Canada, United States, and the Publik partnership manner. We need to get healthcare. It's not all about the billionaires, millionaires. We need to get the DRT. We need to create the UE. We need to mass finance citizens' fitness activity. We get to implement the new 911 protocols of justice for security, service, and defense. Security, service, and defense. Security, service, and defense. And implement the CIT, citizen integration theory. Rebuild the parks. Integrate the CIT, citizen integration theory. And do lots of work. Lots of work of rebuilding the parks, rebuilding our infrastructure, rebuilding the parks, rebuilding the infrastructure, rebuilding all of this, building the North American infrastructure. We're gonna rebuild it, and that's what it is with that, and that's all we gotta get doing on that XYZ. So that's what we gotta get. See, this is being built and has been built. I think they're pretty much finished, but good job. I love it, and it's important for the children. This was renewed during COVID, so see, that's why public workers, children here happy, joyous, and the public workers gotta get it for that public workers to do, and that's what we gotta get doing, the public workers who build it, and I gotta send some love to them, and because the brains and muscle which they used to build and construct, all the ratios, all the diameters, all the areas to construct this park was used. A little bit of that mathematics, that brains and the muscle, and we cannot use all on force. We cannot use all on force, because if you use everything on force, then we kind of lack in the justice aspect, right? It has to be a balance with love, true north, strong and free. Also got to add some love, because if somebody doesn't make love today, what are we fighting to say for civilizations, the free world, for rock stars only, for rock stars? Gangster rappers, give some charity to the hood. Gangster rappers, give some charity to the hood. I'll come do volunteering in the neighborhoods with you. Play a rainbow. I'll come rebuild the ghettos. And my brothers and sisters, of course, there's racism, we gotta work on it, but who lose your freedom? I got freedom tatted up, but freedom is the new thing under the sun, Mr. Solomon. We gotta ensure it, and you deserve redemption, criminal redemption, and we're gonna build those 44 tunnels together across North America in case of a thermonuclear war, because we got enemies outside, external enemies, and the North American Collective, Security, Service, and Defense, SSD, 21st Century Protocols, SSD, 21st Century Protocols, SSD, Security, Service, and Defense, Dragon Army, New 911, because 911 is both for Canada and the US. 911 is both for Canada and the US. 911 is both for Canada and the US. And we got to get for security, service, and defense, and establish total parameters of webcams and total security, and build new centers for total surveillance for Canada and United States. And we're also surveillance and security and SSD principle, the security and service and defense, where citizens can, of course, go and indulge themselves, in volunteering in position where we see the work being done, we see all the truckers, all the farms, and we're integrated based on my CIT, citizen integration theory, dimension at all levels, both public-private partnership, and of course implement and mass finance citizens fitness, let my children dance in the streets. And I don't like violence, I do not like violence. I lived being attacked by surprise a few years ago, and the surprise attack, I fell, hit my head, had a dislocated right shoulder, I went to the hospital and got replaced and was put on some medication, and I kind of had my own Cillian Pirate episode, kind of, and then I survived, and I moved from a moldy place, very moldy, black mold, whitish, that whitish, kind of like snow mold, the color of the snow, that type of white, like snow whitish, kind of puffish white, mold with black and red and green, kind of mold, was very moldy. I moved, I was depressed, suicidal, I crossed Canada coast to coast, and that event, of course, made me come out of being depressed and suicidal, being depressed and suicidal, being depressed and suicidal, being that I was depressed and suicidal across Canada coast to coast. And that event in 2017 made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, Quebecers, my family, Quebecers, Canadians, and brothers and sisters in the USA. And I'm an individual, part of a collective, a minority, small, tiny minority, not just the androgynous pansexual, rainbow dragon general clit dicklet. I got a tiny clit dick who goes rocket rainbow, sometimes goddess, will to build a goddess temple, goddess blessed, GODDSS, kind of once in a while, once a day, 2-3 times a day miracle, I guess. But I am androgynous pansexual, and part of the tiny minority of people who live with Asperger's and live with my scars, live with our retrograde amnesia, some memory loss, and celebrating today, surviving COVID. And I take pride in my geopolitical work, rock and roll lyrics and songs I create on the daily, rock and roll lyrics and songs I create on the daily, rock and roll lyrics and songs I create on the daily, so we gotta get it on that go. And I always gotta turn my head left or right, and always be prudent in the public sphere, because I have added responsibilities, duties, obligations, which under the normal circumstances of life, I would not have the same. I would not have the same if I would have stayed home and I was sick, ill, I had a fever, and I was a bit on the sick side during the weekend. So I said, my anonymous friend gave me some Advil to take care of my headache, if I make $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion, I'm gonna give 50%, 50%, 50%, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with the XYZ. So being that I took 50, I'm gonna give 50, and my will to build again on the Canadian US border. Goddess, GODDSS temple. She does, and the goddess is so majestic, birthed the sun, and she's got the temples, the pyramids. She's got the temples, the pyramids. She's got the temples, the pyramids, so she doesn't really need this piece of dust. I'm a nobody piece of dust, but that nobody takes pride in geopolitics. And geopolitics is this nobody's business, as I would say. This nobody's business. To the point that I predicted what's happening now. Back in 2019, I predicted an international conflagration in October, November. I created a workout training program system to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario. And here I am, financially stressed, grateful, thankful, got food at home, got food. Got some leftover hazelnut spread, so I got a Pepsi bottle, small bottle. I shouldn't have said, because I don't get any sponsorship for anybody. Should have said soda, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. I just was thinking what I have for food security, But please give some charity, give some charity, reduce the cost, give the workers a raise. Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Hershey's, corporations, Wall Street, give some charity. Get that DRT, debt refusion theory, debt refusion theory, debt refusion theory, debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. So now that I'm on the topic, I'm going to start discussing the debt refusion theory, because it's super important that I do proceed in discussing it, because I take very much pride in the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. So that's what it's going to be doing with that. So the debt refusion theory, DRT, debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. So I'm going to discuss it now. And why do I make the statement, of course, that the debt refusion theory is, of course, the debt refusion theory is the only, or solely, or something which, of course, resembles my debt refusion theory, is the solution. The reason why I'm making that statement, for the statement which I make, that my debt refusion theory, the DRT, is the financial theory, at least from a North American perspective, because both Canada and the United States are similarly on the both public and private financial situation, with the public debt, of course, the public debt having reached record levels, and that's what it is with that. With the public debt has reached record levels of 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, and for billion has 9 zeros, a billion is 1,000 million. That is the number. So here I gotta turn my head left or right, because you never know. Anyway, but that's the motive which I'm gonna say for the DRT theory. So the debt refusion theory stands for, of course, the debt refusion theory stands for debt refusion theory, and is the only theory which can, of course, salvage us at this point in time where we are. The debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. That's how we're gonna go get it with that, and that's how we're gonna go on the establishment with that. So the debt refusion theory, DRT, debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. So basically we're going to take all the public and the private debt, and again, the number which we paid, the public debt servicing, aka the interest on the Canadian public debt, has been last year 46.5 billion. 46.5 billion. 46.5 billion. That's 46,000 million. 46,000 million. 46,000 million. 4 billion has 9 zeros. There's no way out of this. Today when I go back before 3 p.m. or after 3 p.m. or tomorrow, April 1st, April Fools, maybe there's a possibility of a public financial collapse. Public financial collapse. A 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 public financial collapse. The interest paid is so much, you know? The public debt is so much, you know? The interest paid has more than doubled, eh? That's the problematic and mathematical financial principle, is that the interest has more than doubled. So it went from 20.3 to 40.6. I meant to say 20.3 double, which was the interest only paid on the public debt back in 2020, 2021. 20.3 times 2 is 40.6. 40.6, 40.6, 40.6. That would have been double, because 2020, 2021, the fiscal year, the number was 20.3 billion. The interest paid on the public debt. And of course, it more than doubled. Yes, due to COVID, which I had. And COVID for me, when I always say it was like death, pestilence, and disease. 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 That's how I felt. Like death, pestilence, and disease. And I always say I died during COVID. I died during COVID. So being that I died during COVID, nothing that I will to go back to, as I'm being reborn. You know. Nothing that I want to go back to, but across the street. And I'm being reborn, you know. So basically I'm being reborn, and that's what we're gonna keep doing, you know. Nothing that I will to go back to. In 2020, between February and March I died. 2020, 5 years ago. So marking, celebrating today. Victory. Since I survived COVID. Victory since I survived COVID. And every time I go to the mountain in the past years is like a victory for me, you know. For me, and suffered, struggled, and misunderstandings with Asperger's, you know. It's often a misunderstood, neurodivergent. People confuse it, confound it, and often mislabel it and misinterpret it as an illness, as a malady, which is not. It's not an illness, it's not a malady, it's a neurodivergent mental psychic condition which makes us predisposed to special interests. And those special interests, we can be super intense, super concentrated, super dedicated. Super intense, super dedicated, super dedicated, super intense, super dedicated, super intense, super dedicated, super intense, super dedicated, super in it. And my fellow construction worker doing some installation there. We get a smile, and I smiled, and we gotta get doing on that XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love, you know. So that's what it is, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go, you know. So here, my fellow family, Quebecers, Canadians, and all who come to join us here, in the North American Collective, doing a lot of arbeit, and it's work. And I do this now, it's my work, independent work, and my theories, of course, having suffered, struggled with Asperger's, have had many jobs, many employments which I loved. I really loved the employments which I had, you know. I really loved the employments which I had. I really loved the employments which I loved. And of course, there were a few weeks, sometimes a few months, I worked in different works, and during COVID with the elderly, in a warehouse in steel, but now I've been done a lot of work as an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and I have my pride in the debt refusion theory and in my geopolitical world as an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst, and theorist, an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst who has predicted what's happening now back in 2019 in October, November, I take great pride. I take great pride, you know. I take great pride in that work, because I take great pride in the paradox of me presenting the solution, because my DRT theory is the only solution, or something very similar to my DRT theory is the solution. Not necessarily my DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the financial situation where Canada, both in the public and the private, but much of the United States situation, similar financial situation for my brothers and sisters in the USA. So that's why we gotta get doing with that. So that's what we gotta get doing on the drills. So 20.3 billion, the debt payments were, the interest payments on the public debt of Canada in 2020-2021 was 20.3 billion. A billion has 9 zeros. So now it jumped last year. It was 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, you know. So that is a huge amount. That amount is just so big and so grand that there's no way out of this. But my debt refusion theory, which of course can be implemented in a parallel situation away, not just my debt refusion theory, but something that has to be similar in fundamentally in the principles to my DRT theory. So I'm going to explain it simplest explanation as I possibly can, because due to my neurological mental divergent condition, Asperger's, we have a tendency, Aspies, I'm an individual part of the small minority of the Aspie community, but there's a characteristic that we tend to utilize too much functional dimensions of an intellectual complexities of a more academic nature, which use verbosities and terminological terms, and the use of vocabulary which is more profound or stupendous, which does not necessarily require the use of such language or linguistics to explain it. So that is a characteristic which Aspie's got to work on a lot sometimes as we build bridges between myself as an Aspie and my fellow neurotypical community. So the DRT, debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, has integrated in my debt refusion theory, is integrated monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union, Monetary integration theory, the Europeans, back in the 90s, they implemented the monetary integration theory in order to create the euro, to create the ECB, the European Central Bank. The Germans, they destroyed their central banks. The Germans, the Italians, the French, they destroyed their central banks. They have no longer a national central bank. They have a multinational central bank known by the name of the ECB, European Central Bank. And so my debt refusion theory, is integrated. Monetary integration theory is integrated in my debt refusion theory. So integrated in my theory is the DRT. In my DRT is integrated monetary integration theory, that is vice versa, which was the theory implemented in the European Union. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt. We're going to take my $10,000, which I have as debt. I don't have credit cards, but I have a debt to the RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. To the RBC, the Royal Bank of Canada. The Royal Bank of Canada. The Royal Bank of Canada. The RBC, $10,000, on which my interest is 10.44% annually, not monthly. Annually, of course, have to be specific. annually. It's still high, and we're gonna implement a 10% maximum from now on. We're gonna implement a 10% maximum from now on. 10% maximum from now on. 10% maximum from now on. Implement 10% maximum. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt, including my 10,000 coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and that debt we're gonna convert it into US dollars, because the DRT has to be implemented. Canada, United States, because my brothers and sisters in the United States are in a similar financial situation. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, we're gonna create it. We're going to complementary create it in the Canada United States joint. So all the public private debt, that number, Canadian dollars, is going to convert to US dollars. We're going to add it up, do an addition, add it with the United States dollar, and that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. So all the money, the debt, is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. All the money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. All the money is going to be the initial money supply, the initial money supply, the initial money supply, initial money supply, initial money supply, initial money supply. So all the public and the private debt put together gonna be in the billions, in the trillions, in the billions, in the trillions, in the billions, in the billions, in the trillions, 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 in the billions, in the trillions. All that money, that's all we're gonna be doing with that. That's all we're gonna be doing with that. So that's all we're gonna be doing with that. So that's what it is. So that's all we're gonna get doing, you know. So all the DRT, we're gonna create the UE, the debt refusion theory. We're gonna take it all the money. That money is gonna be the initial money supply. So all the money, all the debt, public and private 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 debt, all that debt, we're gonna create it, and we're gonna of course create a new complementary currency for Canada United States joint. Canada United States joint. So that's what we're gonna be doing with that. So all the debt, public and private debt, we're gonna create a new currency, and of course we're gonna create the UE, Universal Exchange Unit. The Universal Exchange Unit is gonna be, of course, the new name of the currency, UE. U.Universal, E.Exchange, U.Unit. Based on the value of the US dollar, we're gonna set an interest rate of 10%. U.Universal, E.Exchange, U.Unit. Universal Exchange Unit. The U.Universal Exchange Unit. Universal Exchange Unit. Universal Exchange Unit. The UE Universal Exchange Unit. U.Universal E.Exchange U.Unit. The UE, the UE, the UE. U.Universal E.Exchange U.Unit. The UE, the UE, the UE. The UE, the UE, the UE. The UE Universal Exchange Unit. So that money is gonna be a new central bank. With all that money, we're going to set an interest rate level of 10%. We're going to mass finance fitness, build those 44 tunnels, rebuild the ghettos, the North American inner urban cities, mass finance citizens tourism, mass finance citizen tourism, mass finance tourism because it did me good. And, you know, I always say Dragon versus Trump. It's not the way to invite Canadians by tariffs and bullying, by tariffs and bullying, by tariffs and bullying, by tariffs and bullying. The best way would have been, of course, to mass finance tourism, bake some pies, to ask Canadians to join. The True North Strong and Free, to fuse with my brothers and sisters in the South, as we will fuse the North and the South, but via my democratic Republican centrist theories to create the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, the Universal Exchange Unit. That's what we're gonna get doing with that. So that's how we're gonna get on that go. So I'm gonna wait for it to pass. It looks a little bit like it's gonna pass on it, and we're gonna get it on the go for now. We're gonna get it for the left and the right, and that's how we're gonna cross the streets, you know. Here we're gonna cross the streets and gotta thank the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all those firefighters, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and gonna wait for it to go, you know. Gonna wait for that to cross the street, and gonna wait for the sun, my king the pope, to shine, my pope king the pope to shine, and that's what it is with that. That's what it is with that, and that's how we're gonna get going with that. So the DRT, that refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, 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 the universal exchange unit. Has to be implemented. Again, there's no way. There's no other way. Just that's the point. That's the point. It's no. This says that it's closed for the winter, but the winter's over. Feels good. I always love when I come here. Please, when you come here, do not pollute. Don't pollute. Don't pollute. Please pick it up. Pick up the garbage, the compost, the garbage, the compost. And again, the DRT theory. We made it to my second home. This is the mountain. Mount Royal. Mountain Mount Royal. Mountain Mount Royal. My second home. My second home. Not just mine, but yours. My second home here. Not just mine, of course, but yours. Yours, you know. So that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and so we're gonna get on the go, you know. So here we are. The DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. Please. No. Please recycle. Don't mind y'all drinking. For years and years and years I've been cleaning, and we need to do a big cleaning, but so much to do. I have a black bag to do it by myself, you know, and let's get that DGA with the implementation of the DRT theory. DRT theory. We're gonna be able to implement, create the UE, the universal exchange unit, and of course finance the DGA, Dancing Goddess Army. Rainbow Dragon is also Priestess Hannah. Rainbow Dragon is also Priestess Hannah. Rainbow Dragon is also Priestess Hannah. I said priestess, not a hoe. Priestess, not a hoe. Priestess, not a hoe. Gotta make that distinctions of the GODDSS, MTFX. Of the GODDSS, MTFX. Of the GODDSS, MTFX. So the Dancing Goddess Army to rebuild the North American infrastructure. Rebuild the North American infrastructure. We gotta rebuild the North American infrastructure. That's how we gotta be doing the rebuilding of the North American infrastructure, the collective North American civilizational complex. That's how we gotta get doing, and to rebuild, you know, to rebuild the North American collective, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing with the LOV, you know. So that's something which we gotta be doing, you know. So the North American collective, the DRT theory, the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit. We gotta proclaim the Dancing Goddess Dragon Kingdom, which I'm laying the foundations here. 718 trillions of kisses, 718 trillions of kisses. 718 trillions of kisses. Can make all my allies and armies pledge your legions. Dar family. Kiss trillionaires. Kiss trillionaires. Please don't pollute. I'm gonna contact the Amis de la Montagne here. It's an organization, institution to start cleaning the mountain, and by implementing my DRT, death refusion theory, we're gonna be able, of course, to get the DGA, Dancing Goddess Army, to get that DGA, Dancing Goddess Army, the North American Imperial, North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, to clean the environment, and clean, of course, the mountains, you know, and clean the lakes. A lot of work we're gonna do with that, and a lot of work which we're gonna do, and that's what we're gonna do here, coast to coast. And it's a rainy day today, and always grateful when I come here. Always feel the air is fresh, you know, the freshness of the air is just of a different quality. The air is different, so it feels fresh, and the only thing is not to pollute. We got squirrels, flora, fauna, squirrels, rabbits, hawks. See, the squirrel found something to eat, and rabbits, and we got poetry, and it's not just my second home house. It's not just mine. It is yours, ours. It just, in other words, it doesn't belong solely and only to me. It belongs also to my fellow brothers and sisters, you know, who are part of the collective, and that's what we need to be doing, you know, the fellow brothers and sisters, fellow citizens of the Quebecois and la belle province. And here we made the great linguistic compromise of the French language, and we continue to do it, eh? And now I'm getting thirsty, so I'm gonna go celebrate atop surviving COVID, and grateful, thankful, rent paid, electricity bills paid, and a lot of been cursed by Asperger's, but it's the blessing of my DRT theory. Please don't pollute. That's classy. There you gotta put in the recycling there, see? I don't mind. Red is my favorite color. Red is my favorite color, but that has to be put in the recycling there. See where the recycling is? And I'm gonna take a little tour and go in the back and see where the recycling is, and atop the Belvedere there. So I'm gonna bag it up, although it need to be cleaned a bit. So that's all we're gonna get doing with that. And here when we enter, of course, we gotta be prudent, because it's slippery, you know, so being that it's slippery side, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. So we gotta get doing, you know, so being that it's on the slippery side, and being that it's on the slippery slope, you know, gotta get on that prudence. So just gonna clean it a bit, because it's dirty in the Anyways, so that's what we're gonna get doing on that, you know. So it's something which we gotta be prudent. And again, I don't mind people drinking. I don't drink. I drink wine once in a while, you know. Once in a while, I drink wine rarely. On occasion, once in a while. Occasionally. Once in a while I drink wine, and that's what it is with that. So that's what it is, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So something which we gotta be mindful of. Here we got an area where we're trying to preserve nature. So the preservation of nature here is kind of a priority, and now it's not that rainy anymore, so I can put this away. Hot. Foul on the play, full start. 5-yard penalty. False start, encroachment. If we're gonna play that defense like the hardball ball, aka blackout ball, gonna get that DRT. And here on the mountain, you know, I always love coming here. And who pledge allegiance, legions are my family. Pledge your allegiance, legions are our family. Pledge your allegiance, legions are our family. And I got something in my eye. It's better now. It was like a black, green, whitish, reddish speck. It's better now. Just had to blink. Goddess. Will to build a forgotten goddess temple. GODDESS. Goddess. Goddess on the Canadian-US border. And the house pyramid. Or the dragon red, scarlet. Scarlet, red, crimson. Crimson, scarlet, red, crimson. Scarlet, red, crimson. Scarlet, red, crimson. Crimson, scarlet, red and scarlet. Shades of crimson and scarlet, and shades of crimsons and scarlet are shades of red, and that's all we gotta get building with that, and that's all we gotta get doing on the go, you know. So it's something which we gotta get doing for now. Here as I go atop the mountain, already atop here, Mount Royal Belvedere Conjuring Act coming up, and here I encourage all to come. Well, be prudent because branches fall, and just inhale strongly, profound inhalations, and the air's fresh, so we can clean a little bit of the lungs. I gotta be cleaning myself if I'm to help somebody else clean, you know. If I help somebody else clean, then I gotta be cleaning somebody else as well, you know. Gotta help in cleaning somebody else as well. Before I gotta clean myself, I still got a lot of work to do on myself. Calling all willingly loving, pledge your allegiance, our family, for the collective. We gotta get it on the go, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love, you know. Something which we gotta be on the procedural side, and that's what we gotta get on the go, you know. And here we are to get it for now, and here we are to get it for the XYZ with the love and justice. You know, justice is hard to attain sometimes. Justice is hard to attain, you know. Justice sometimes is hard to attain, and we always got to balance the individual and the collective. And to be more charitable, if I would have had 44 billions, I would have donated 10% after the Strong got elected, went throughout North America and to homeless, veterans, black, white men, women, black or white men and women. I would have given it to many, 50,000. I would have said, this is my second chance. This is your redemption and justice. Because I guess, I don't know my life prior to 11 years before, because my memories black out, that retrograde amnesia. So I remember mostly the past 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years, and then like kind of blackout of memory, you know. And being that is that blackout of memory, I am here. Watch for those branches, watch for those branches, watch for those branches, and watch for that branch doesn't fall, see? Gotta watch it. That one's just hanging on a thread there. That's dangerous. We gotta advise the city. I'm gonna write them an email when I get back to les amis de la montagne. I'm gonna write Amis de la Montagne so that the city could do an inspection here, because see how that is? It was gonna fall. It could fall on somebody there. It could fall on somebody. So you gotta be prudent. And in many videos in the past, you gotta inspect, and many videos in the past you gotta inspect, and I always gotta advise my fellow citizens for the prudence, because they see that branch also, that one. So I gotta double check, look up, because the branches fall on here it's you're in the nature, you're in wilderness, my mistress. I also gotta be respecting and Concordia Salus is the motto of Hawk Island, aka Metropolis is. Concordia Salus is Metropolis Island, which of course means wellness through harmony, wellness through harmony, wellness through harmony, wellness through harmony. So that's all we gotta get doing with that, and that's all we gotta be turning our heads left and right and look up, because it's possible for the branches to fall. Branches can fall. You can go and branches fall and come here. Just look up from time to time. If you hear the cracks, be ready to rock and roll, jog, run on march. You know, makes me think of my general air integrated total body training system, aka Dragonomy workout, which I created back in 2019 to go hand in hand with the World War III scenario. So that's what it is with that. And back in the World War III scenario, when I created in 2019 and integrated, of course, World War III scenario to go for the collective North American civilizational complex. And that's what it is when we got to implement my Trinity of TVs and create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions. The Dragon Army, aka North American Integrated Security Service and Defense, Legion, pledge your allegiance to our family, together with the Dancing Goddess Army, the North American Integrated Dance League, for the environment to clean, and mass finance here, and of course to get the fusion of Canada and United States via public-private partnership and build the 444, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum for Sportus in Perpetuitas 24/7. Sports and fitness for 24/7. Sports and fitness for 24/7. Sports and fitness 24/7. Sports and fitness. Sports and fitness. Sports and fitness 24/7 on the Canadian-US border, and North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and the Forgotten Goddess Temple, the Forgotten Goddess GODDSS, a mega structure as well for the DGA, for dancing and goddess-based spirituality. Non-sectarian, the Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow LGBTQ community, LGBTQ plus the neurodivergent community, because I'm part of both double trouble, androgynous pansexual aspie, and of course to build the pyramid, scarlet crimson, our shades are red on the somewhere here in the North American collective, here on the mountain, maybe the house of the dragon, and that's what we're gonna get doing, you know. So it's something which I gotta do. That's what we gotta get doing with that. So here it is. I gotta give a salutation to the public workers, all public workers of North America, but especially these ones who built this one here. This bridge right here was built with brains and muscle, and it wasn't before, but I kind of like it. I would have loved a little bit of that rainbow, red and orange, blue color with the black here is nice. The black here is nice, but contrast a little bit of color, but also I like it like this. It's just I have a little thing for bright colors, a little bit of that, so that's what we're gonna get doing with that. And so we're gonna get on that LOV, you know, so something which we gotta be here satisfied, and gotta be here on the prudent side, and always gotta be mindful, grateful, thankful, you know, that my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid. We got deep fresh breathing here. We got deep fresh breathing. We got deep fresh breathing, you know. So we got deep fresh breathing, and gotta take a look at that mold. And that's what we gotta get doing with a little bit of that mold there. Wow, it's not actually mold. I think it's like little white. Mushrooms. Little mushrooms. Little mushrooms. That's what it is, so that's what it is with that, so they gotta get doing on that, so something which we gotta be on the love side of things, and here we gotta be on the mindfulness. And nature, and is my mistress, but my mistress calls me cuckold. I said no problem. Play a rainbow, general cuckold. Don't mind cleaning, getting dirty, get back clean. General cuckold. General cuck. Greatest cuck in the universe. C-U-C-K. I am Rainbow Dragon, greatest cuck in the universe. If I ever get married, but probably gonna be a cuckold marriage. Can work with my hands only. Hands and mouth, hands and mouth, feet, hands and mouth. And I got a rainbow dragon booty for generals, black, white, and black or white, rainbow, black, white, or rainbow, but rainbow dragon's booties for generals only. Black, white, or rainbow, but for generals only. Black, white, or rainbow Caesars only. Black, white, or rainbow Caesars only. Black, white, or rainbow Caesars only. But if you want to kiss it for world peace, not a problem. Not a problem. Look at that beautiful purple. Isn't that beautiful? I find it beautiful. The purple. Here we are. We made it, almost made it. 44 steps, almost 45. 44 steps. Almost 45, 4 steps. Almost 45, 44 steps. Almost 45, 44 steps. Almost 45. That's what we're gonna get doing with that. And that's what we're gonna get fundamentally. The crows. Say, yep, DRT, Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance, legions. We need to put a dragon flag there. On the American one as well, as we're gonna fuse the true north, strong and free. The true north, strong and free. We're gonna be fusing there, and that's how we're gonna get fusing with the XYZ, and that's what we're gonna get doing on that. Yeah, we made it. Somebody made it. Gotta thank the ones who built here the chalet, and the flags. We need to put a 7-pointed flag, and of course with the 7-pointed flag with that. This one also gotta be recycled, you know, you gotta put that in the recycling. That's all we gotta be doing. The recycling inside. And so we gotta get doing with the love, you know. So I gotta get doing with that. So we gotta get doing. Oh, we can't see anything. We can't see anything there. We can't see anything. Can't see anything. Well, you can actually, but nonetheless, we gotta go doing on that, and here we gotta go on the top, you know. And there we gotta put the US flag as well. The US flag and the rainbow dragon, the DGA 7-pointed star for the goddess, and the dragon flag with it, you know. So that's all we gotta get doing with that. Yeah, I gotta wash my hands, you know. Go hydrate. Imagine all who built this, all who built this, all who built this. Drink some of that water. Thank you those who build it. Thank you those who build it, those who build it. And gonna get going for the hydration. And imagine all the work just to build it, to have water here. It's so beautiful. See, this is for the plastics, and that's for the metal. So this goes there, and this you got the three. So you gotta put it there. This one too. See, that's paper. That's French. So that's French for garbage, and this is French for plastics and metal, and this is French for paper. French for paper. So that's what that means in French. Papers. This says garbage, and this says garbage, and this is plastic, and metal, and glass. It's just in French, but that's the translation, you know. Anyways. Comment ça va? Financièrement, pas trop, là, mais... Ça va changer. Vous pensez? Mais ton sourire, ça va. Ça m'a fait plaisir de te voir sourire, là. Fait que... Bonne journée à vous. Ciao, ciao. Fait que, that's the French, you know. We speak a lot of French here. My fellow cousin there, you know, cousin or whatever, I consider my family, but we gotta get it on the go, but... She said it's going to change. I said financially stressed, you know. Financially stressed, you know. But Said financially stressed. Financial. That's the thing with Aspies, eh? We're asked how we are, and you're supposed to say I'm okay, I'm good. But Aspies, we're neurodivergent, so these things they don't come often for us, you know. We are very neurodivergent, and our mentality is we just say how we feel, you know, how we feel. So that is for the XYZ, and that's how we feel with that to get it on the go. So here we're gonna do a little bit of that love, and so here we are, we're gonna do a little bit of squats. Just squats a little bit. Gonna go 3, 4, 5. And then we're gonna go on the go left and XYZ, and that's what we're gonna be doing with that, you know, to get it on the go. And that's what we're gonna get doing. And also, one more, 11 squats up and down. Woo. Yeah. Yeah. Excusez-moi, c'est la première fois que vous venez sur la montagne? Non. Ok, parce que j'allais vous dire qu'il y a de la poésie tout alentour. Tu sais, si vous allez alentour de même, ou que vous allez sur le côté ici, sur le chemin, tout alentour, il y a des poèmes, il y a de la poésie. Ah. Fait que j'aime ça dire aux gens, s'ils s'en vont, pour prêter attention, là, parce que c'est de la bonne poésie, ça parle du soleil, de la nature. Là. Ciao, ciao, bonne journée. There's poems, eh? So what I said in French, that there's poetry. So when you go here, there's poetry right here. Poetry. So that's the poems, you know. No one. I always love to tell tourists about the poems. Roundabout, there's a poetry, and it goes in French, but you gotta know a little bit of French. So if you don't know French, you're gonna have to use the translation or the Google or whatever the case may be. So you're gonna have to use a translation for the translation because it's in French. But the poems are roundabout the whole complex of the mountain here atop the Belvedere, where I spoke a little bit of that French. So you can see them roundabout and all about. There's poems hidden. You have to know where they are. So some of them are hidden inside, some of them are hidden inside, some of them are hidden inside, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta be doing on some love. That's what we gotta be doing on some love, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing on some love with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on some love, you know. So it's something which I always love to tell people, because I heard him discussing the mountain, and I like to let people know that there's poems, and there's lots of them, but they're hidden, eh? It's like a hidden knowledge, and they gotta get on the knowledge to know where they are and to find them, you know, to find them on the go. So that's what we gotta get doing, you know, to find them where we are. And here we're gonna build a complex, and here we're gonna get it on the do. And I got a 22, I'm gonna get to 22, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go, you know. So it's something which they gotta be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go. 4 squats. Last time we did push-ups, we're gonna do push-ups, squats, hawks. Push-ups, hawks, squats. We're gonna vary. Today is gonna be squats. What am I? 5. Gonna be 6. I'm gonna be 7. I'm gonna be on that 8. I'm gonna be on that 9. I'm gonna be on that 10. I'm gonna be on that 11. That's what we're gonna do one more time. Oh yeah. Woo. And we're gonna get some more 11, you know. We gotta get on that 11 side of things, and that's what we're gonna get on the go for that, and so we're gonna get loving, you know. So here we are. That's that French, and here it talks about the sun, and we did Belvedere Conjunac, the headquarters of the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, which is right here. It needs a little bit of rainbow playing with the red, and you got the flags, which needs the United States flag, the Dragon Army flag, the dragon with the eye, and of course we gotta get on that dragon with the eye, and that's what we gotta get doing with the dragon eye, and we gotta do the complex of the eye of the dragon and the 7-pointed stars right there. Here the headquarters of the dancing goddess of the Dragon Kingdom, and here we're gonna do, because we got 33, 33, 33, 11 more. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. That's what it is with that. That's what it is with that, and that's how we're gonna go. But there's a doubt, so I'm gonna do 4 more. Just 4 to make sure I was at 44. Because I think I missed a few. I might have done only 40. So when there's a doubt, I'm gonna do 4 more. And compliment, you know? And compliment. If there's a doubt. That's what it is with that. And do a little bit of doubt. So if not, did I do 11 or 33? I do a little bit of extra. Because I'm an extra rainbow dragon rock and roll. Do a little bit of extra. Put a little bit of OT. Overtime every time. Rainbow dragon on the dime every time. Rainbow dragon on the dime every time. We gotta get it for the DRT, we gotta do it for the me. There we go. Whew, that's what it is. Gotta be grateful, thankful, man. Gotta switch it to that French. We'll have a province, and we gotta get some loving. I'm going to back and head back to my headquarters, because from here to my place is some hours, so I gotta go do the laundry, you know. Gotta go do the laundry. Gotta go do the laundry, man. Grateful, thankful for the laundry machine. For the laundry machine, for the laundry machine. Thank you, anonymous friend. If I make $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion, gonna give 50%, and that's all we're gonna do on the love side, you know. So we gotta get doing with that, you know. Here we are on the go, and gotta get it for the love, you know. So we gotta get that red, my favorite color. Isn't this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful? I just find it gorgeous, just gorgeous, just gorgeous. Just gorgeous, you know. That's why we gotta get some LOV. Thank you, Hydro-Québec workers. Time for French. C'est le temps pour le français. Québécois et québécoises, je vous invite à l'entraînement physique. L'entraînement physique a été sur ma médecine et thérapie de choix. Je suis sur la montagne le dernier jour de mars. On est le 31 mars. J'étais un peu malade en fin de semaine. J'ai comme voulu rester dans le lit, mais j'ai sorti, j'ai fait un peu d'analyse de la géopolitique. J'ai dit ma gratitude, puis je dis je vais partir dans la montagne de bonne heure. C'est en train de pleuvoir, mouillé, ça s'est arrêté un peu. Fait que je dis bon, je vais faire le lavage parce que lundi, je fais du nettoyage puis de lavage. Mais que je me retourne chez nous, mais que je retourne chez nous. Fait que c'est ça que j'ai dit. Fait que je suis parti. Puis j'ai dit je prends de bonne heure, je vais retourner chez nous après. Puis je commence à avoir un peu faim. Fait que d'ici jusqu'à chez nous, c'est encore des heures. Hein? J'ai encore des heures d'ici jusqu'à chez nous. Au moins 2 heures, 2 heures et demie. Hein. Conseillant, je dis peut-être je vais essayer d'arriver chez nous avant 3 heures, mais je dois dire ma gratitude parce que aujourd'hui j'ai eu un bon événement. L'événement en question, c'était bien ça que je suis allé changer des bouteilles. Puis c'est la première fois depuis ma mémoire parce que je peux retourner en arrière 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ans, là, 11 ans à peu près maximum. Là. 7, 8, 9, 10. Là. Après ça, j'ai un blanc de mémoire, les symptômes de l'amnésie rétrograde, la perte de mémoire. J'ai de la misère à me souvenir, ma vie, avant que j'aille déménager d'une place, j'habitais à Montréal, là, ça fait 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ans, 10 ans, elle m'a dit ça. C'est depuis 2015, là, fait que ça dit, ça fait bien des années que j'ai déménagé une place. Il y avait beaucoup de moisissures. Tu sais, la moisissure noire, blanche, verte, rouge, rougeâtre, noire, verte, rougeâtre et blanche. Tu sais, comme la blanche de neige, là, un peu comme la blanche, un peu comme la barbe à papa. Barbe à papa, tu sais, la blanche barbe à papa, là, genre, mélangée avec noir, puis rouge, puis vert. Il y avait beaucoup de moisissures. J'ai déménagé, j'étais en dépression, j'étais suicidaire, puis j'ai traversé le Canada en 2017. Puis quand j'ai traversé le Canada, cet événement-là, ça a fait changer ma vie. Avant ça, j'étais en dépression, j'étais suicidaire, puis en 2017, j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec les Québécois, puis les Québécoises, puis le Canada, puis depuis ce temps-là, je m'entraîne, j'ai fait l'entraînement physique, puis je fais beaucoup de travail indépendant dans la géopolitique. Je prends beaucoup de fierté. Vous savez, moi, j'ai l'Asperger's, l'autisme mouvement fonctionnel, c'est une condition de neurodivergence. Ça fait bien sûr que j'ai des intérêts spéciaux, fait que ça préoccupe mes journées, puis on peut être intense, se concentrer, super dedans, les aspis, ceux qui sont neurodivergents, les Asperger's, c'est une condition de... Notre cerveau il est différent, fait que nous, c'est pas une maladie mentale, par contre, ce n'est pas du tout une maladie mentale, ce n'est pas une maladie mentale. C'est juste que je vis avec cet autisme hautement fonctionnel, l'Asperger's, puis ça fait que j'ai des intérêts spéciaux comme la plupart des aspis. Puis il faut qu'on ait du soutien, il faut qu'on ait du soutien dans ces choses-là, puis il faut qu'on s'embarque dans cette situation de vivre au quotidien, comment qu'on vit, tu sais. C'est au quotidien qu'on vit avec cette condition de neurodivergence. C'est sûr que moi-même, j'ai souffert beaucoup, hein, parce qu'il y a beaucoup de gens, des citoyens qui comprennent mal c'est quoi l'Asperger's, fait qu'ils font toujours une équation, une équivalence avec une maladie mentale. Puis encore une fois, l'Asperger's, ben, c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est juste que notre cerveau il est différent. Fait que nous, on voit le monde d'une autre manière, on est différent, mais les choses de la communication sociale, les choses viennent plus difficiles. Par exemple, l'espace personnel, on a tendance à s'approcher trop proche des concitoyens. On a tendance à s'approcher tellement proche des concitoyens, dans le sens qu'on s'approche tellement proche de quelqu'un que la personne va être intimidée ou va peut-être avoir peur, mais c'est juste que il faut nous le dire. Peux-tu prendre un pas de distance, parce que ces choses-là, telles que, tu sais, les normes non écrites de la distance personnelle, là, d'1 mètre, de 2-3 pieds des fois, là, tu sais, la distance, on a tendance à s'approcher trop proche des gens dans la conversation. C'est un des caractéristiques, parce que c'est pas un symptôme comme dans une maladie, là. C'est juste que ces choses-là, il faut toujours qu'on travaille, qu'on fasse un effort constamment d'y travailler, parce qu'on, tu sais, des fois, on ne sait pas la communication verbale, on ne sait pas quand parler, quand arrêter de parler. Si la personne est intéressée dans le sujet, comme moi, je peux parler de la géopolitique pendant des heures et des heures au quotidien, tu sais. C'est des choses, des heures au quotidien que je fasse moi-même, tu sais. C'est des heures au quotidien que moi je fasse moi-même, tu sais. C'est ça qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même, constamment de la géopolitique. Puis je prends de la fierté dans le travail de la géopolitique, parce que j'ai bien sûr trouvé, j'ai bien sûr fait mon travail, puis j'ai fait le travail dans la géopolitique pour vous dire que j'ai prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment en 2019, en octobre puis en novembre. J'avais prévu une conflagration internationale en 2019, en octobre puis en novembre. J'ai prévu une situation de crise mondiale, de géopolitique, puis j'ai même prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant d'une manière générale. C'est sûr que j'ai pas tous les détails dessus, là, mais en grosse partie, j'avais prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant. Fait que de cette manière, je peux vous dire que ma théorie de la refusion de la dette, la théorie d'intégration citoyenne, la théorie de la fusion démocratique pour la création de 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé, pour la création de 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé, c'est en ce moment la solution. Puis je célèbre aussi. Aujourd'hui, je marque 5 ans. 5 ans depuis que j'ai eu la COVID. 5 ans depuis que j'ai eu la COVID. 5 ans depuis que j'ai eu la COVID. Tu sais. 5 ans. En 2019, après 2019, après avoir prévu la conflagration internationale, j'avais prévu, bien sûr, qu'il y aura cette conflagration internationale. Puis, bien sûr, en 2020, tu sais, j'avais prévu en 2020. Avant 2020, je disais avant la COVID, j'avais prévu qu'il y aura cette conflagration internationale. Fait que j'avais fait un système d'entraînement physique que j'ai créé, bien sûr, pour y aller main en main. Puis je célèbre aujourd'hui, je marque, ayant survécu la COVID, tu sais. Moi, quand j'ai eu la COVID, c'était comme la maladie, la pestilence, puis la mort. C'était comme la maladie, la pestilence, puis c'était comme la mort. C'était comme la maladie, c'était comme la pestilence, puis c'est comme la mort. Je sais que ça fait comme une chanson de rock'n'roll. Rock'n'roll, sévère, hardcore. Hardcore, rock'n'roll, sévère, hardcore. Puis c'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut qu'on aille. C'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans ce principe, bien sûr, de le faire. Et bien sûr, pour avoir fait la protection, tu sais, la protection, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Mais attendez que je passe par ici. Attendez qu'on fasse par ici. C'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on y aille pour la faire ici. C'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on la transmette. Pour faire un résumé, j'avais prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment de manière générale, vu à cause que bien des régions, des pays, des nations-États n'ont pas été capables de résoudre leurs problèmes qui datent du 20e siècle. Fait que c'est ça que j'avais prévu en conséquence. J'avais prévu qu'à cause que bien des régions, bien des pays, je veux dire en 2019, parce que je parle de mon travail de la géopolitique, là, j'ai sauté d'un sujet à sujet parce que je parlais d'avoir survécu la COVID. Puis oui, je célèbre, Marc, aujourd'hui 5 ans. 5 ans depuis que j'ai survécu la COVID. J'ai eu la COVID en 2020, en février 2020, j'ai survécu la COVID, puis j'ai fait une conflagration internationale, bien sûr. Après ça, avant ça, que j'aille la COVID, j'ai prévu qu'il y aura une conflagration internationale. Fait qu'avant que j'aille la COVID, j'avais prévu une conflagration internationale. Puis je l'ai eu la COVID juste entre 7 février puis la fin de mars. La fin de mars, à moitié mars, je commençais à me sentir mieux. Entre mi-février puis mi-mars, j'étais vraiment malade. Ça, je dis, mais c'était comme la mort, la pestilence puis la maladie. Puis je sais que ça fait comme une chanson de heavy metal, là, tu sais, du thrash metal, du hardcore heavy thrash metal, du rock'n'roll hardcore, qui parle bien des choses de la destruction, puis la Troisième Guerre mondiale, puis des choses un peu sataniques, là. Tu sais, la mort, la pestilence, la maladie! Tu sais, comme ça ferait un album de trash, du rock'n'roll, trash heavy metal, tu sais. Ben, c'est ça que j'ai ressenti, c'est comme ça que je me sentais. Je pensais que c'était mon dernier chapitre, j'ai dit, ben, c'est ça, je meurs. J'étais en train de mourir, je meurs là, puis j'ai survécu. Je me suis fait vacciner 3 fois, fait que je célèbre aujourd'hui la victoire sur la COVID, puis je célèbre aussi parce que je prends beaucoup de fierté dans mon travail en géopolitique. En 2019, j'avais prévu qu'il y aurait une conflagration internationale, donc j'avais prévu qu'il y aura cette conflagration internationale. Je prends beaucoup de fierté dans ce travail de géopolitique indépendant parce que j'ai prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment. Pour vous faire un résumé, là, c'est que j'ai vu qu'à cause que bien des régions, bien des pays, bien des nations, des pays-États n'ont pas été capables de résoudre leurs problèmes qui dataient du 20e siècle, durant la guerre froide qui a duré entre 1947 et 1991. C'était une période de plus que 44 ans et 9 mois officiellement. Ben, il y en a qui disent c'est un peu plus, un peu moins. Ben, la plupart des gens, ils sont en accord que la guerre froide a duré entre mars 1947, entre mars 1947 et décembre, fin de décembre 1991. Fait que quasiment 45 ans. Plus que 44 ans et 9 mois. Proche de 45 ans. Fait que 44 ans et 9 mois à peu près. Ou plus que 44 et 9 mois. Quasiment 45. La guerre froide, ça a duré longtemps, là. Puis quasiment 45 ans, c'est quasiment 3 générations, ça. Puis ça a bâti bien des bombes nucléaires, puis ça a eu bien des conflits durant cette guerre froide. Mais bon, ces pays, ces nations n'ont pas été capables de résoudre ces conflits, là. Ils n'ont pas été capables de résoudre ces conflits. Ben, en Russie puis l'Ukraine, c'est des conflits qui ont recommencé, là, qui n'ont pas été réglés durant cette période. Israël puis la Palestine, c'est des conflits qui n'ont pas été capables d'avoir de résolution, n'ont pas à avoir. Qu'est-ce qui se passe en Israël puis Palestine puis le Moyen-Orient? C'est des conflits qui datent du 20e siècle, là, qui ont repris avec intensité, puis ont repris maintenant au Moyen-Orient, Israël puis Palestine, Israël, Hamas, l'Hezbollah, c'est tout des qui datent du 20e siècle. Potentiellement sur l'horizon, un autre conflit entre la Chine, la République de la Chine, puis le Taïwan, la République de la Chine, puis le Taïwan. C'est des conflits qui datent du 20e siècle. Même si je peux faire des analyses en géopolitique profondes, des détails, ça reste que fondamentalement, je suis québécois, canadien, nord-américain. Personnellement, je ne me considère pas en étant un membre d'une diaspora. C'est chez nous ici. C'est de ma famille. Vous ne voulez pas être de ma famille, c'est correct. That's all. Bon samaritain, laissez-moi vivre avec l'Asperger's. Puis j'ai payé mon loyer. Je vais être capable de payer mon loyer pour le mois d'avril. Merci pour l'aide de $800. C'est pas beaucoup, mais je vais pouvoir me payer le loyer. Puis acheter de quoi manger. Puis je vais survivre comme j'ai survécu avec mes cicatrices. Comme j'ai survécu à avoir vécu la COVID. Comme j'ai survécu à avoir été attaqué par surprise. Quand j'ai tombé, je me suis scanné la tête. Puis j'ai eu un bras droit disloqué. Puis quand j'étais en dépression puis suicidaire, vécu dans la moisissure. J'essaie d'avoir de la justice moi-même, pour moi en tant qu'individu qui a vécu quand même beaucoup de discrimination, tout ça dans le sens d'avoir vécu avec l'autisme moindrement fonctionnel, l'Asperger's, l'autisme moindrement fonctionnel qui n'est pas une maladie mentale, qui n'est pas une maladie mentale, mais qui est une condition de neurodivergence. Fait que c'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Fait que c'est quelque chose qu'il faut que j'aille de résolution moi-même, tu sais. Fait qu'on pourra faire bien sûr dans ces choses-là. C'est des résolutions qu'il faut qu'on aille. Fait qu'avoir vivant, tu sais, pour vivre bien sûr des choses dans le même, puis des choses dans la circonstance que moi je vis en tant qu'individu, qui attend le soleil, le pas pour percer les nuages, pour avoir un peu de vitamine. Puisque je fais le rock and roll, parce que c'est ça, je fais de la géopolitique, du rock and roll, puis l'entraînement physique, la danse, c'est ça mes intérêts spéciaux, puis c'est ça ma trinité d'intérêts, puis c'est ça que je passe mes journées à faire au quotidien avec intensité, puis parce que nous les autistes, les Asperger's, on a des routines, hein. Puis les routines, c'est notre travail des fois avec intensité, soit faire des études ou faire les choses qui sont nos intérêts spéciaux, aussi connus comme intérêts obsessifs, mais dire obsessif, c'est plutôt négatif parce que c'est pas négatif pour nous, c'est juste qu'il faut qu'on soit encouragé dans ces choses-là. Et donc, comme que je disais tantôt, mais c'est toujours que le soleil, le pape sort. Je parlais du soleil, le pape qui sort. Puis je vais discuter maintenant de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, je vous en parle maintenant tout de suite. Parce que c'est important que je l'adresse, parce que ça vient de ma malédiction de l'autisme moindrement fonctionnel avec laquelle je vis, l'Asperger's. Un paradoxe, là. C'est un paradoxe que j'ai la solution pour la situation actuelle, pour les finances même publiques, privées, parce qu'on est rendu l'année passée à avoir payé 46,5 milliards d'intérêts. 46,5 milliards d'intérêts. 46,5 milliards d'intérêts, tu sais. Fait que c'est 46 0,5 milliard d'intérêts l'année passée sur la dette publique, sur la dette publique, sur la dette publique. C'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse pour en prendre note, là, parce que c'est 1 milliard 109 0, hein, méchant. Fait qu'imaginez-vous, c'est un gros chiffre, là. Sur la dette publique, c'est 46,5 milliards. Ça fait plus que... Ça fait combien de milliards, ça? Combien de millions? Ça fait 46 000 millions, là. 46 000 millions sur la dette publique. 46 000 millions! Vous pensez-y un peu. Le montant, il est tellement énorme que je peux me prononcer de dire qu'il n'a pas d'autre solution que ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. C'est clair et net. Parce que l'intérêt qu'on paye sur la dette publique, ça est plus que double. C'est sûr que c'est la COVID qui l'a causé. Moi, j'ai eu la COVID, je me suis fait vacciner 3 fois, puis je pensais que j'allais mourir. J'ai survécu, puis là, je vous mets sur la table la TRD. Théorie de la refusion de la dette. La théorie de la refusion de la dette. La théorie de la refusion de la dette. Donc, on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée. Toute la dette publique-privée. Parce que moi, j'ai 10 000 $ de dette, j'ai vu une crise financière, mais la dette publique, juste l'intérêt, c'est ça le problème. L'intérêt qu'on paye sur la dette publique, c'est plus que double. Il faut remercier les camionneurs, les pompiers, les bouchers, les électriciens, les travailleurs de l'Hydro-Québec, ceux dans les champs de patates aussi. Hein. Merci les fermiers, les camionneurs, les boulangers, les électriciens, les plombiers, les travailleurs publics qui vont ramasser les poubelles, qui vont ramasser le compostage aujourd'hui. Et les infirmières, ceux qui changent les couches dans les garderies, 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 qui changent les couches. Et bon, c'est ça qu'on va dire. Bon, je vais vous dire que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, TRD, c'est la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. En entendre ma théorie, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire, la théorie d'intégration monétaire, la théorie d'intégration monétaire. La théorie d'intégration monétaire, c'est la théorie qui a été implémentée en Europe. Les Européens, dans les années 90, ça fait plus que 25 ans, ils ont détruit leur banque centrale en Allemagne, en Italie, en France, plusieurs pays de l'Europe. Ils ont fait de la création de la Banque centrale européenne et ils ont fait de la création d'une monnaie commune. Fait que dans ma TRD, c'est inclus la théorie de la refusion de la dette. Puis encore une fois, c'est la seule et unique solution, ma TRD, paradoxe, là, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette de votre arc-en-ciel est la seule et unique solution, ou quelque chose qui ressemble à ma TRD, car on paye, l'année passée, on a payé, hein, dans le passé, conjugaison au passé, ça veut dire que l'année passée, on a payé sur la dette publique 46,5 milliards. 46,5 milliards, 46,5 milliards, 46,5 milliards, 46,5 milliards, 46,5 milliards. 46 000 millions, ça. C'est 46 000 millions. C'est 46 000 millions, OK? 1 milliard, c'est 9 zéros, là. C'est pas 7, c'est pas 8 zéros, 1 milliard. C'est 9. En 2020-2021, le montant était de 20,3 milliards. 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6. C'est 40,6. C'est 40,6. 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6. 40,6. Fait que ça veut dire que ça a sauté de plus que double. Parce que 20,3 fois 2, là, ça aurait donné 40,6. Fait que le chiffre est de 46,5 milliards. Fait qu'on est à veille peut-être aujourd'hui ou demain, le poisson d'avril, c'est possible qu'il commence à avoir un effondrement des finances publiques canadiennes. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper dans le budget public? La police, le recyclage, le compostage, les prisons, la GRC, la police, la SPV, la service qui ramasse les poubelles, le compostage, la santé publique. Ben, il faut qu'on coupe dans le budget parce que l'économie canadienne n'a pas doublé. Là. C'est le même principe financièrement pour un citoyen. Mettons, si mon intérêt que j'aurais payé, ça aurait été 2 fois que c'était en 2020, sans que moi, j'ai pas beaucoup de revenus, là, mais si mon salaire, mettons, tu sais, maintenant, j'ai l'aide financière, là, mais quand je travaillais, j'ai dû repayer, en tout cas, je ne vais pas commencer dans le passé, mais bon, c'est sûr que ça l'a fait dans l'avenir qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même, tu sais, mais ça aurait été qu'il faut que je coupe un citoyen que le salaire ne double pas, la moyenne de salaire a augmenté de seulement 4,4% en 5 ans. Fait qu'il faut qu'il coupe, réduit, peut-être arrêter de fumer la cigarette, peut-être arrêter de sortir au restaurant, arrêter de boire, peut-être arrêter de manger du steak, peut-être arrêter de manger du bacon. Il faut que ça coupe dans le budget. Un citoyen, citoyenne, elle fait ça. Il n'y a pas de solution, là. C'est la TRD, mais c'est la solution qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Donc, je vous l'explique. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est qu'il faut qu'on fasse, on prend toute la dette publique-privée, TRD, toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, bien sûr, toute la dette publique-privée, bien sûr. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000, de côte à côte, on va ramasser ensemble. De côte à côte, il faut qu'on... C'est urgent, c'est urgent. Il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de la TRD. TRD. Fait qu'on prend toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée. On va faire toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, puis on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire une refusion de toute la dette publique-privée. Tout cet argent-là, on va le mettre ensemble. On va mettre ensemble la dette publique-privée. Toute la dette publique-privée, on va mettre ensemble. Toute cette dette-là, on va mettre ensemble. Mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000, que ça soit toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, on va mettre ensemble. Toute cette dette-là, on va mettre ensemble et on va faire la création d'une nouvelle monnaie. Une nouvelle monnaie. Cette nouvelle monnaie va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis parce qu'on va faire la conversion puis on va faire l'implémentation de la TRD Canada et États-Unis ensemble. Fait que toute cette dette-là, public-privé, va avoir un taux d'intérêt de 10%. Après ça, on va pas pouvoir avoir plus que 10% d'intérêt sur le prêt, sur les cartes de crédit, sur les prêts boursiers, les prêts, pas pour les bourses, les boursiers, là, mais pour les maisons, tout ça, les prêts après ça, sur les dettes. Ça va être un taux d'intérêt nouveau de 10% maximum. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire la création, toute cette dette publique-privée, ça va être l'argent initial qui va construire la fondation des nouvelles banques centrales en Amérique du Nord, Canada, États-Unis ensemble. Oui, on va faire la création de l'unité d'échange universelle. U.unité, point échange, U point universel. U.unité, point échange, U point universel. U.unité, point échange, U point universel. Oui. U.unité, point échange, U point universel. L'unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle. On va faire la création de cette nouvelle monnaie d'échange, puis on va faire la création de cette nouvelle monnaie, unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle qui va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. Oui. U point unité, un point échange, U point universel. Oui. L'unité d'échange universelle va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. Fait que cet argent-là, avec cet argent-là, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure de l'Amérique du Nord, bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec, financer les gens, faire de l'entraînement physique, financer l'entraînement physique, bâtir, construire les 44 tunnels, 44 basés inspirés par la montagne Cheyenne, puis par, bien sûr, pas juste la montagne, mais le tunnel, le village souterrain de Montréal, le village souterrain de Montréal, par et pour la continuité du collectif nord-américain dans le cas d'une guerre nucléaire. S'il y a une guerre nucléaire, pour la constitution du collectif nord-américain, on va devoir aussi, ceux qui ont perdu leur liberté, mes frères et sœurs, on va pouvoir les mettre pour qu'ils fassent du travail dans ces 44 tunnels, là, pour la rédemption criminelle, là. Vous avez perdu la liberté pour aller vers la prison, mais c'est plus qu'aller faire la rédemption, hein? Une rédemption. Moi aussi, j'ai eu une deuxième, troisième chance. Peut-être j'aurais resté où j'aurais habité là, plus que 11 ans. Là, j'aurais été mort peut-être, ou en prison, ou sur la rue, quelque part. J'ai survécu. J'ai tellement de cicatrices sur mon corps, la perte de mémoire. J'ai survécu la COVID en 2020. Là, je vous présente pour aujourd'hui, en fin de mars, dernier jour de mars, la TRD, qui est la seule et unique solution. Vous pouvez vous obstiner tant que vous voudrez, mais on a payé d'intérêt tellement l'année passée, ça a plus que doublé. Fait que l'économie n'a pas doublé, fait que c'est le même principe financièrement, c'est le même principe. Si un individu, l'intérêt, ça double, là, mettons citoyen, citoyenne, si ça saute de 156 à 333 en 3 ans, sans que le salaire double, mais il faut que vous coupez. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? La police, le service de sanitation, le service de santé, les prisons. La TRD, c'est la seule et unique solution. La théorie de la refusion de la dette, il n'y a pas d'autre solution aujourd'hui. That's it, that's all, rock'n'roll. La TRD, c'est un paradoxe, mais c'est la théorie de la refusion de la dette, la création de l'unité d'échange universelle. On va bâtir le Colisée du peuple américain et nord-américain impérial sur la frontière du Canada des États-Unis. Un Colisée impérial pour sportis in perpetuitis, pour le sport en perpétuitis, pour le sport en perpétuité. Au moins, Donald Trump, on va jongler un peu, on va faire un peu de boxe. Moi puis Donald Trump, on va faire un peu... On va faire un peu de boxe. Moi puis Donald Trump. On va faire un peu de boxe. On va boxer ensemble sur la frontière du Canada puis des États-Unis. On va faire un peu de boxe. On va boxer un petit peu. Puis on va établir, construire ce Colisée. On se voit que le palais, le Colisée de la Ligue de football nationale des États-Unis. On va bâtir le temple de la déesse, Dieu comme déesse, D-E-E-S-S-E, le temple de la déesse, oublié, car je crédite avoir survécu la COVID à la déesse. Je suis spirituel, moi en spiritualité j'ai des questions, j'ai un peu rock'n'roll, je crois à des réincarnations, des fois j'étais né homme-femme, j'ai rencontré Louis C, j'ai servi dans l'armée des États-Unis, j'ai été né québécoise, ben avant là, c'était entre 1700 et 1740, 1740 et 1744, j'étais né femme ici, ou pas loin d'ici, là, sur la Ville-Marie avant, là, c'était Ville-Marie, ça a devenu Montréal, là, mais... C'était pas québécoise aujourd'hui parce qu'on est devenu québécois. On est devenu québécois-canadien, mais le roi est absent. C'est le temps pour la République. Moi, j'ai pas aimé ça, là, il prête allégeance au roi et ses descendants. Là. Il prête allégeance au roi et ses descendants. Il prête allégeance au roi et ses descendants, mais c'est pas les rois et les descendants, les travailleurs de l'Hydro-Québec, les fermiers dans les champs de patates, les pompiers, bien, ceux qui font l'administration publique, les infirmières. C'est pas le Russia qui va venir nous défendre. C'est une invasion de la Russie. C'est une invasion de la Chine. Ça va être moi, avec l'autisme monofonctionnel Asperger, qui va aller prendre des armes pour vous défendre dans le cas qu'il vienne une invasion des armées, là, pour qu'ils viennent chez nous dans la belle province, avec ma famille. Fait que je vais aller tout de suite courir pour me joindre pour la défense du Québec, puis du Canada, puis du collectif nord-américain. Parce qu'on a nos frères et sœurs aux États-Unis. Puis du collectif nord-américain, on a nos frères et sœurs aux États-Unis. Prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille. Le rêve qui se manifeste comme le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé à travers le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille, c'est la chanson. Prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille, c'est la chanson. Prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille, c'est la chanson. Le rêve, que je dis soutenez le rêve, c'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. C'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. C'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Puis, là, je suis joyeux, je viens être content, mais je vis un stress financier. Fait que je vous encourage à l'entraînement physique pour l'intelligence des gens. Vous êtes dragon arc-en-ciel, là, messieurs, madame, maman, let's go! Prêt pour le rock'n'roll en bilingue. There we go. There we go. Rock and roll as I go. On the love and on the go. For the butch and for the go. Let's go for that rock and roll. Let's go pour le rock and roll. De la gauche, de la droite. Let's go on go. Let's go on the go. So you know up in the road, so you know up in the go. We got a rainbow rock and roll, we got a rainbow as you go. For the left and for the right, for the rainbow that's a sight. For the rainbow that's a pledge. For the troops on the ledge. For the left and right. Gotta sing that rock and roll. For the love and for the go. Please don't pollute, we on the mountain, play that rainbow. Rainbow umbrella, got a singer, Cinderellas. Got a fellas, got a man and a woman, I'm a priestess, not a hoe. Priestess of the goddess, gotta go about it. To get it on the go about it. That we gotta 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 go about it. Left and routed, that's about it. Left and routed, that's about it. Left and right, and that's regardless. Left and right, and that's we got it. Goddess. That's where we're gonna go. And you know, that's for the rainbow rock and roller. Rainbow one to go. That's where we gotta go. Gotta be polluting, you know? It's gotta be recycled. The flora fauna. La flora la fauna. Flora la fauna. Flora la fauna. That's why we gotta get it on the go. So just one more hydration and we're gonna go on. Well, I guess we can hydrate on the way because I got another hydration, but I guess we can do that hydration on the way, see if it works. If not, well, I guess we're gonna rock and roll with that. Let's go. For the butchers, for the bakers. Dans le temps pour s'asseoir, dans le temps pour s'asseoir, pour venir pour l'enfer. Let's go for that loving, for the justice, for the loving, for the blessed kiss. Rainbow dragon, that's a kiss. For you all the butchers please, for you know the butchers please. So you know the butchers please, so you know the butchers please. So you know we got a freezer, so you know we gotta live. For the left and right and be here, for the left and right and see ya. For the left and right and see ya. See on the B and see on the B and see on the D. To the go and for the right, to the go and for the right. Upset so that you gotta go and rock and roll up in the fight. Been the fight up in the lights, been the fights up in the lights, been the fight up in the light, been the fight up in the sight, been the fight up in the lights, been the sight up in the lights, been the wind up in the sky, been the satellites, you know we ride, ride the satellites we lights, ride the satellites we rights, freedom rights, freedom rider, freedom in the easy, gotta ride, gotta ride, gotta ride. Et la neige, ça fond. On est sur le Mont-Royal. Dès que ça tombe, que je danse, je m'en retourne. Ben chez nous pour en savoir. Ben chez nous, ça fait le rose. Fait le rose pour la descente. Fait le rose pour la tente. Porte du bleu pour la descente. Ben enfin, ça regarde. Le soleil, j'attends qu'il sorte. Le soleil, j'attends qu'il sorte. Mes cousins, ils font le jog. Jog la droite, jog la gauche. Poup, ça danse tanginette. Sur le Mont-Royal. Sur le Mont-Royal. Sur le Mont-Royal, les montagnes, ça danse, les écureuils, ça danse, ça chante. Québécois puis québécoises. Les hommes et femmes libres, on fait notre rédemption criminelle. Maintenant, on danse, on kiss, on danse avec un policier policière. On a fait de la rédemption criminelle. Maintenant, on danse avec Céline. J'ai composé une chanson qui s'appelle Rédemption criminelle. J'ai fait de ma rédemption criminelle. Maintenant, je danse, je chante avec un policier puis policière. J'ai fait de ma rédemption criminelle. Maintenant, je danse avec un policière. Pour l'exprimer, il faut que ça danse. Pour l'exprimer, il faut que ça recule. Pour l'exprimer, il faut que ça avance. Let's go for that extra right and Z. Gotta stay healthy as I go live. Gotta stay healthy as I go live. Gotta go for the left, for the right, for the purple. Gotta wear that red and go. For the left, for the right, for the truck, for the blessed, for the blessed, for the butchers, for the go. For the butchers, for the go. For the butchers on the go. For the left, on the right, on the go. For the truckers, for the bakers, for the cooks and firefighters. For the butchers, for the bakers. Dragon Army chant. Dragon Army. Dragon Army. Dragon Army chant, allegiance. For the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses, for the doctors. For the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses, for the doctors. For the firefighters. For the butchers, for the nurses, for the butchers and the truckers. For the truckers, for the butchers, for the firefighters. Dragon Army chant. For the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses, for the doctors, for the firefighters. Chanson de l'armée du dragon. For the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses, for the doctors, for the firefighters. For the truckers on the road. Pour les travailleurs publics, pour les infirmières, for the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses, for the doctors. Gotta get it for the left, gotta get it for the right. For the left, for the right, for the left, for the right, for the left, for the right, for the sight. Gotta go for the left, gotta go for the left, gotta go for the left, for the sight. Gotta go, gotta go. Yeah, that's like... For the Dragon Army motto, Dragon Army chant. Collectif. La chanson de l'armée du dragon. Pour les bouchers, les pompiers. Dans les champs de patates, ça fait des marches. Ça change des couches, dans les garderies, ça bouge. Bouge dans la fesse de la belle province. L'armée du dragon, l'armée du dragon, l'armée du dragon avance. L'armée du dragon, l'armée du dragon, l'armée du dragon avance. La justice, la sécurité, puis la défense. Pour la défense, la sécurité, et puis la justice. L'armée du dragon avance pas de la belle province dragon. Qui est dragon, et tous on est ensemble, ni par naissance, ni par naissance, ni par naissance, par l'effort qu'on devient. Québécois, québécoises, l'armée du dragon avance. Invitation à la renaissance, les plombiers, les boulangers, administration en fait, hey. That's what we're gonna do, rainbow dragon on the goo. And we don't do that, none of that voodoo, kiss and hugs and kisses. Rainbow dragon, General Cuckold, yes, you know that's me. I got a tiny, tiny dick and clit, a tiny, tiny dick and clit, tiny, tiny dick and clit. For the farmers, for the butchers, rainbow dragon, dragon army, step by step, plenty of scars. For the freedom, it ain't easy, gotta insure it, gotta see it. Rock and roll, dragon army marches, and none of you can stop it. Dragon army marches, and none can stop it. Gotta get it for the love, for the allegiance, pledge your allegiance. 51 and 63, gotta know to be with me. 61 and 53, gotta know to be with me. 51 legions or 63, 51 legion dragon army. Newly established, that's me. 51 legions, that's an army. For the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters on the road. Gotta go wait for the no. Dragging on me as I go. So you know we kissing cold. So you know we kissing cold. That you know just how we do. That you know just how we go. Ain't nobody rock and roll. Who are we? The Dragon Army. Who are we? The Dragon Army. Who are we? The Dragon Army. Oh, the service and security. Who are we? The Dragon Army. For the service and security. Who are we? The Dragon Army. For what? For the service and security. Some of the dragons are black. Some of the dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Nobody is born a dragon. Nobody is born a dragon. What's the motto of the Dragon Army? Nobody is born a dragon. You gotta earn it. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. All my dragons are not born a dragon. You become one. What's the motto of the Dragon Army? Nobody's born a dragon. You become one. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons, let's go. Nobody is born a dragon. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Nobody is born a dragon. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Nobody is born a dragon. Il y a des dragons qui sont noirs, qui sont blancs. Il y a né un dragon. C'est une bonne chanson, ça. Marching, New World Order, 21st Century, Dragon Army, l'armée du dragon. That's an interesting looking dog. C'est un chien quand même intéressant, je trouve. Noir et blanc, black and white. We can't be bought and can't be bribed. We can't be bought and cannot be bribed. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We cannot be bought and cannot be bribed. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We cannot be bought and cannot be bribed. Dakota, 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 Dakota. Vous pouvez pas nous acheter. On n'est pas à vendre. Dragon Army, we cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed. Oh, are we the Dragon Army? Some of my dragons are black, some of my dragons are white. None of my dragons are born a dragon. None of my dragons are born a dragon. None of my dragons are born a dragon. Some of my dragons be black, some of my dragons be white. None of my dragons be born a dragon. Motto of the Dragon Army. Nobody's born a dragon. Oh yeah, that was a really good one. That was a really good one. On peut pas nous acheter, on n'est pas à vendre. Côte à côte, océan, océan. L'armée du dragon avance. Le rochage veut rien savoir. J'y prête jamais de l'allégeance. Juste à ma famille de Québec, québécoise, canadiens, et de ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre dans le monde de nouveau libre. Avec nos frères et sœurs aux États-Unis. Pas besoin de la frontière. Je vous invite avec les bras ouverts. We don't pledge allegiance to King Charles. We pledge allegiance to the people. Quebecers, Canadians, and all who come to join us. All who come to join us. All who come to join us. I open my arms in love and join us. Brothers and sisters from the 50 states. Welcome, let's join the Dragon Army. For that service and security, no, it's not about the money. We cannot be bought and cannot be bribed. Cannot be bought and cannot be bribed. We the Dragon Army, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Nobody is born a dragon. Nobody is born a dragon. One-on-one with the generals. Read the George Patton through a glass darkly. A little bit of that rock and roll. Here we go. Please recycle this. Recycle this as we go. That was a nice little bit of that rock and roll martial drill, starting the drills, eh? Last day of March, starting the dragon drills. Dragon Army chant drills on the mountain. I was supposed to start on the 2nd. Or tomorrow the 1st, but I said I'm going to end the month like that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Public workers. For the public workers, firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, all those involved in the distribution of food. Pour les camionneurs, les infirmières, ceux qui font le nettoyage, québécois et québécoises. Oh, let's go on the go, let's go on the go. And that's all we got to get on the go to do. We don't pledge allegiance to the king. Well, that was a good one. That's all we gotta get doing with that. Gotta get doing, and that's where we're gonna put the recycling, see where it goes. And sometimes I'm concerned that it's not properly done, but we need to take action in education. It's always give and take. It's always give and take, and I love this building here. And now I gotta head back to my headquarters because I'm a little bit on the hungry side, and I gotta get back by 3. Gotta get back by 2. Get back by 3. By 3 to do that laundry, you know. So that's what I gotta get doing. And so I'm heading west now. I'm heading west, you know. Heading west, and I'm gonna check here if I gotta press it. Oh, I feel good. I feel good. I really feel so good now. But I still have about 2 hours, eh? My journey is not over on these feet. And make some good loving with consent. Hug like you never hugged before, you know. With consent, hug like you never hugged before. With consent, hug like you never hugged before, you know. That's my main message. With consent, hug like you never hugged before. That's the main message. With consent, hug like you never hugged before. That's the main message. Hug like you never hugged before. Hey, consent, and don't start hugging random people in the streets. That's not what I said. Je viens de dire, bien sûr, qu'ils se donnent des câlins. Donnez-vous un câlin comme jamais vous l'avez fait auparavant. Fait que c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse, tu sais. Fait que that's what it is with that. And that's what it is for the go, you know. Wait, you know. I take some steps and a little bit of stretching left and right, you know. Left and right stretches, left and right. Dragon army, push-ups, hugs. Plus the hydration. I want everybody well hydrated, HYDRATE. Ah ouais, l'armée du dragon, la bonne hydratation. La bonne hydratation, la bonne nutrition, good nutrition. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. Le corps, c'est un temple pour le plaisir. Je veux que vous rentrez chez vous, sains et saufs, que vous fassiez l'amour. I want you to get back home and make some of that good loving, or think about me making love to me, but not that pretty to make love with, maybe for some more for others. And that's the bus drivers who make love where thou wilt, with who thou wilt, how thou wilt, with consent, consent, consent. That's the law of that 93 dilemma. Faites l'amour que vous voulez avec quelqu'un que vous voulez, comment vous voulez, mais ça soit adulte, là, adulte, adulte, mais avec qui vous voulez, c'est là la TLM, tu sais. Le plus d'amour que vous faites, le plus possible. The more loving you do, the better. The more hope you give me. Le plus d'amour que vous faites, le plus d'espoir vous me donnez. Somebody making love in the free world. Somebody making love in the free world. Somebody making love in the free world. That's what it is with that. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. That's what we gotta get doing, you know? So we gotta get on that love side, you know? So, yeah. Dragonomichan, that was a good one. Gotta get that revision. Get that revision for the go, and so we're gonna get on that love, man. Heading back to Hekoda, I'm still hoping for the sun. J'entends encore pour le soleil, là. J'ai de l'espoir, I got hope. Come on, my Pope, the King, the Sun. Disperse the clouds, that's the one. Disperse les nuages, s'il vous plaît. Pour ton servant, thy servant. Powerful to protect thy servant. That's my King, the Pope, the Sun. That's my King, the Pope, the Sun. Ça, c'est mon roi, le soleil. Le roi, le soleil. And I'm the demon from the power of it. And I'm the demon. And I'm the demon from the power of it. And I'm the demon from the power of it. Choose the dragon. Jealousy. Choose the dragon. Choose the dragon. Jealousy. And I'm the crown of the power of it.